Welcome back for another episode of Strive for 25. Joel Farrell here, and looking forward to sharing with you our guest today.
Another episode of the Strive for 25 podcast. And we are in Richmond, Virginia, literally in Richmond, Virginia. And I'm here with Carrie Thierry, a friend of mine, entrepreneur, and we're going to dig into some pretty cool stuff. So Carrie, we've been talking about business and generating additional income streams.
Yes.
For over a year now.
Yes.
And you got a little bit of a background that, has kind of set you back a little bit here and there. And we kind of want to dig into that. But first off, just if you could give our guests a little bit of an intro on who you are.
Well, hello, I am Carrie Thierry. I am 41. I've lived in Richmond, Virginia, all 41 of those years. And the things that I've learned in the last 2.5 years is that credit matters, starting businesses matter. And those are two of the things that I am seeking to do before this year is out. And I use Joel as one of my assistants. He helps me. He's a great guider. He gives answers questions. He does webinars and seminars for real estate. That's more than helpful, because I'm starting to realize that real estate is money and it's income, and it's a whole nother world that before I didn't realize. And so I reach out to him for assistance in that.
So you and I have talked about a lot of different things when it comes to real estate, generating income, building a business.
Yes.
So one of your projects that you're working on is you create baskets for realtors and for
anyone who needs a gift, whatever you need it for. You want to say, hey, hello, or congratulations. The name of the company that I have is Gifts and Baskets by Personal Touch. It's been my 20 plus year hobby. I started when I was about 20 years old, making baskets. I started for my godson and my sister. I have a sister that's 9 years younger than me. And my godson was born when I was 15. So they're not too far from each other. And when things would take place, like a birthday or something to celebrate, I would make gift baskets, and people start seeing what I did. And when I was at the IRS, which I worked there for 10 years, 8 months, not there anymore, but while I was there, I developed customers. And there I didn't really have to sell because everybody knew what I did. I was the girl that made baskets. And so a lot of people would come to me when they had events, if they needed something that they wanted to give someone. It was the presentation that they liked. And that's what I like. I don't like cheap things, and I'm a bargain shopper. So even when you come to utilize my services, a lot of people are surprised at what price I offer them. And those are the things that I'm trying to piggyback off now, because now I can use my hobby, start an LLC, and get income so that I can show the bank that I can purchase a home and have a stronger ability to pay for that home, versus just now having the income that I have, which is disability. But
that's kind of the other thing too, right? Because you're working in a W-2 paid job.
Yeah.
Something's happened in your life that changed. And one thing I want to get into a little bit later is the kind of the limits or restrictions of earning disability and then also earning income. There's some limits, and
there are.
Got to fit into a kind of a box, right?
From what I'm researching, because our intake for part-time income has increased. They increased the amount that they're paying disability. I think it went up maybe $145, something like that. And so the part-time income that you can receive or earn while you're on disability has increased. And so that's good for me now. Right now, I don't even bring in that amount that they increased to. But at the same time, I'm starting to realize that there's a difference between an individual tax return and a business tax return. And I want the business tax return. I'd rather have 450 plus exemptions versus just 8 on the individual side. When I worked at the IRS, I did individual accounts. And I worked in the non-streamlined installment agreement department. And basically what we did is if you owe more than 25,000, anywhere from 25,000 to 100,000, and you needed a payment plan, you talked to me. I assisted you with your financial statements, tried to educate you on estimated tax payments. And because I did all of that work with the Internal Revenue Service, now my light is going off with me as a person, because I have seen, or I have talked to people that have businesses. And the one thing that everybody had the same complaint about was being able to make estimated tax payments. And that's pretty much with a wage earner, that's your federal withholding. So when you're self-employed, unless you have a W-2, which means wage earner, and you can make yourself a wage earner. I didn't know all of this. I didn't know that you could start your own business and then select who you are in that business. It's just, and those are the things that I've learned in the last 2 years that I'm trying to piggyback off. I'm on Instagram 24/7, trying to learn how to get my telephone number, what's the best way to get an email for the business. I'm all over the place, but one day I'm going to be in the same place, and the hopes of where I will be at that time is to have my own business, and maybe not just one, because I have more than one talent that I feel like I could offer, and people can compensate me for it. And so that's what I've learned in the last 2 years, because most people say, let me go get a job. Now I'm starting to teach my children to find things to do so that they can generate their own income, get their LLC, get their EIN number, start building or attempting to build their own credit so that they can build business credit. Those are the things that I'm learning, and you are helpful with that, Joe. I'm gonna be honest, you're very
Appreciate you
helpful.
saying that.
You're very helpful.
Well, kind of taking a step backwards. So, you want to share a little bit about what happened with, your situation?
Okay, well, like I said, I worked at the IRS for 10 years, 8 months. That ended on May 13th of 2016. And I won't go into detail with that, but it ended. And I was on unemployment, and I was trying to figure out what my next step would be, because I still had my hobby and I still wanted to make my hobby a LLC. I have family that have stores in the malls here. Virginia Center Commons is no longer in Richmond, but it was a very popular store here at one time, or mall rather. And my cousin, Albert Williams, he had a store called Al's Fashions, and that's actually the first place that I worked. So I grew up around entrepreneurs. And right before I left the IRS, he said to me, why don't you come to Virginia Center Commons and rent a building, not a building, a store, and rent a storefront and build your name. And I thought to myself, yeah, but I have to pay rent there. So not only would I have to make money to be there, but then I still have to have a base of people coming that will help me fund that. It didn't work out like that. So I went and got a paper route. And I was a sole proprietor, and I still didn't like that setup because that's a lot of wear and tear on your car. So what I did was I started taking classes. I went through the Workforce Center here in Richmond, and they sent me through for medical billing and coding. And that was my road. I said, okay, I can get an LLC with this, or if I want to go into nursing, because I do have a medical background, I'll just stay on this path, collect some certifications. And because even when people graduate from college with a degree, they still get certifications, because that just kind of puts the polish on the end for your state. So I said, okay, let me get these certifications. And during that process, I was in a very bad car accident. It happened on September 12th. I don't remember anything about it. I just know that I woke up in the hospital on maybe October the 2nd and was told that I was a strong survivor and that I was going to be disabled. That I was disabled. And they didn't expect me to be able to walk, talk, be able to do anything. And I came through. And I surprised the doctors, and it let me know who I was as a person. and what I could go through. Once I filled out the paperwork for disability, I didn't think I was going to get it because most people say you don't get it the first time. Well, I got it the first time. I had enough injuries for them to say, hey, we can't not give it to you. And so now I'm getting income. And as I got the income, because prior to this particular situation, I was one of those people, if I didn't have the cash for it, I didn't do it. But now I don't have the cash for it because I'm out of work and I've just been injured in a car accident. So once the disabilities start coming in, I say, you know what, let me stack this money and see what I can do with it. I started stacking the funds. I started applying for credit because the beautiful thing about me not having credit cards before is that I didn't have anything on my credit now. I started accumulating credit cards and I started attending real estate classes or investment classes from the realtors here in Richmond. And as I'm doing this, I'm starting to meet people like Joel and different realtors and different contractors. I was even offered a joint venture to start doing investment in real estate. Now, I'm not really there yet, but now I have a path. I have taken my credit score up about 125 points in the last year. And just meeting these different people and being different places, attending these classes, the one thing that I've learned is that if you can have an LLC, it's your way to be able to generate income in a manner that is not so much as money-based. It's more time is money. And if you have the ability to use your time in a way that benefits you to generate income, then that's a blessing. And so that's what I'm trying to embark on. I'm trying to get my 20-year hobby to be a LLC. And so now I'm learning how to build my credit because personal credit does matter on the business side. I did not know that. But you have to get lenders to lend you money. And if you are not taking care of yourself personally, for yourself personally, then it's going to be hard for a business to give you something for you to get put elsewhere. And so that's what I'm focusing on now and what I'm trying to learn. I am in the process of starting my LLC, which is Gifts and Baskets by Personal Touch, where you pretty much is like Build-A-Bear. If you want a gift, you reach out, I take some information from you, like a name, favorite color, age, what the occasion is, and you tell me what you want to present. I've done baskets for realtors and real estate agents. I had an agent that was in Atlanta, Georgia. She knows a florist shop here, Pat's Flowers, and she didn't want flowers to be sent. So she reached out to me and I created a gift for her. And that's pretty much what my business is. I want to do the shopping for you if I have to. You bring your ideas to me and I present you with something that you can give to someone as a gift. But it's my logo is where gift giving is made personal. And I mean that because I don't like getting crappy gifts. I don't. I like good stuff. And so even when I go to put things in my inventory, I bargain shop, I catch deals, but that's where the OPM comes in, that other people's money, because now I have personal credit that I can use. And now I'm starting to use my personal credit. And I say, you know what, if I'm going to use my personal credit, I need an LLC. So the one thing that I have learned from surviving the accident, because I thought that I was just going to be out back and without, disability is not a lot of income. I just so happen to have 2 children. And I just so happened to start working at 14. So I had enough money paid in from myself to be able to receive a decent amount. However, it's still not enough. And so my daughter is 10. She'll be 18 in 8 years. What would I do then? I won't have that additional income for her. So now my goal is to build enough income, a way where I can have enough income coming in where I don't even need disability, that I can surpass even this process. But I have to know what I can go over and what I can't go over. So that's what I'm trying to figure out now in the process. But that's why I'm glued to Instagram, looking at people like Joel Farrell, who are teaching people what they can do, because not everybody has the money to go to school. Not everybody has money to pay somebody to attend a class. And I'm just trying to reach out to resources, take information from the resources like Joel, and apply them to my life. And the first thing that Joel said when I said I had a basket hobby, he said, well, we need to make that a business. And that's what I'm trying to do. And people, if you have something that you can offer somebody else and people are coming to you for it, look into it, because that is the only way that you can build generational wealth for yourself. I get it. You can go to a job and you can have the 401k, but it's totally different when you have the time for yourself and you still have the funds to be able to take care of your family. And that is what I'm trying to accomplish, to have funds coming in, not just a paycheck, but funds. I need some equity. I need all that good stuff. I'm still learning about the equity, but equity is money. And that's in real estate. And so I'm trying to build my little small business because I want a multifamily unit. I don't know if you know Julian Gordon. Is that the right name?
Yep.
But he's awesome. I have done about 5 or 6 webinars with him. And yeah, I haven't kicked out the money, but I've screenshot everything. I've taken all the notes. And Joel has sent me some multifamily units. He sent me that information. He's not even in Richmond, Virginia. And I'm learning to network and link up with people and, put people in touch. And you might know somebody that knows somebody. And those are the ties that you need, even in business and in life. And yeah, I know I don't sound very professional, but I'm not there yet. But when I get there, you'll know it. And I just appreciate Joel being able to have a podcast that guides people like myself. I can go to his podcast, I could feel bad and then see him talk. It's like he motivates me to just keep going, because I don't know anything about a podcast, and I'm sitting here in a park with Joel talking to you on a podcast, and I don't even know what I'm doing. And I'm hoping that we can come back later on and show you the difference from me now and then. But hey, it's a journey.
There is so much to unpack there. FHA, what is that? Like
I've
business
done
to
research, and
business side?
FHA is giving more money now. Like they've raised the bar.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 400,000 or something like that. But I learned about the 203K loan, which is the rehabilitation loan. If you purchase but FHA has 203K. You know that, right? I did not know that. So that's what I plan to get when I get my multifamily unit, because I've never purchased a home. I will be a first-time home buyer, and it just makes sense to purchase a multifamily unit because I can live on one side, and I have an 18-year-old son that, I don't want to live with him anymore. So he can move next door, and then I can teach him how to rent. He can pay the rent, and then I can report that to the bank, and that's income. And then after a year or so, then I can be able to qualify for other loans. I'm learning that it's about not really who you know sometimes, it's what you know. And then who you know.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you, Joel, for providing a podcast that allows people to see inside of what you do and what the people that you assist and that work with you do. Because it's helpful. Like when I do your webinars, and I know the realtors are the ones that are giving us, the real estate agents are giving us the information. However, you're the lender. So you educate us on what we need to know so that we can get some money. So I appreciate that. That's why I'm always sharing you. Look, I tell you, look at him. Yeah, he's not here. He's not even in the same city and state that I'm in, but we've made a connection. And I'm going to be honest, once I get my ducks in a row, I'm coming to Joe to get my multifamily.
Well, let's back up for a second. So, so first off, I'm here in Richmond for a couple events.
Yes.
We were talking through text, and I had a chance to be able to connect. And So this interview is kind of ad hoc, but it's something we've been talking about.
And I'm so happy to meet you. That's why I was like, you want to do
Right.
a podcast? Yeah, I'm ready. I know I'm not really ready, but I was ready to meet you, and you're awesome.
But we talked about doing the podcast and
Yes, you did.
and you know, my philosophy, especially with building wealth, is that there's so much information out there about budgets and expenses and cutting this and cutting that, but that's only part of the equation.
It is.
The other part of the savings equation is income.
Yes.
And not enough content and emphasis on that part of it. And so that's really my focus with this platform, is to continue talking about that part.
Yes. And the thing is, and only from working at the IRS, I was there 10 years, 8 months, but I didn't really embark like I should have. Now, working in non-streamlined installment agreements, I did learn about the filing of a federal tax lien. I did financial statements where I had to take information from the customers, and then I had to educate them on how to file the taxes, because basically the non-streamlined installment agreement, or that department, they are attached to currently non-collectible status. They're attached to offer and compromise. These are all things that you can do with the IRS to let them know that you're trying to pay your tax debt. And offer and compromise is if you say, hey, I want to give you all some money, but it's not the full amount, but can you take this? You fill out an application, you submit it to them, and they give you a yes or no. And me just being in that department, I remember telling the self-employed people, because that's the people that I mostly spoke with, self-employed, you have two options on your estimated taxes. One is to pay 100% of the previous year or 90% of the current. I used to tell all of my customers, look, do the 100% of the previous year, because at least you have a number. It's small things like that that you don't understand when you take on a business.
Okay.
But I'm so blessed because I worked at the IRS for 10 years, 8 months. It's so much that I know about that. And that's another reason why I want to start my LLC, because I feel like I have a little to know about those estimated payments. I tell people to do 100% of the current tax, or the previous year, because you know what that is. And then I would tell them estimated taxes are every 3 months that you pay. I would tell my customers, look, you have a monthly budget. When you file your taxes, see what that tax balance is, divide that by 12, pay that monthly. As long as you pay 100% of the previous year, you cannot get an estimated tax penalty.
Oh, wow.
So I even know that to apply that to my life with my LLC.
So from your business right now, right? You've got, some social media out there on Instagram.
I've been on Instagram since 2012, and I'm just realizing that because I have that, when you try to get business credit, sometimes they want you to have at least 2 years of a business. Well, technically, I don't have an LLC at all. So if I take an LLC to them to show that it's registered, it's still not going to have 2 years under it. But because I have a social media presence to show them, that's kind of like that confirmation to them that she has a business.
So from a tax filing standpoint, do you have to, like in your situation, do you have to file a Schedule C for the business?
That's what I would do. I would file a Schedule C until I get my EIN number. Anybody who wants to do a business that doesn't have an EIN number, you file a Schedule C on your individual taxes. Now, there's not a lot of perks to it because it's not like the business side, the BMF, business master file. That's the side where the business is, because I think there's about, I don't know the exact number, but there's at least 450 plus exemptions that you can get when you file a business return. If you have a meeting with someone and you discuss your business at that meeting and you keep that receipt and write that on the receipt, that's a write-off that's a business meeting. It's small things like that that I guess a lot of people don't realize, because I know people with businesses, and not to knock anybody who has their home address as their business, but I'm seeing that even when you try to go for a lender to give up your business, either a grant or anything, because grant is free money, but sometimes you're going to need a loan, and they're going to look at everything you have. And if you haven't taken the time to use an address other than yours, not knocking anyone, but it's kind of going to make the bank look at you like you're just trying to build your house instead of your business. And those things I didn't know, but looking at content online, on social media and different places, those are the things that I'm learning.
From because your product, the relationships that you have with people that are return clients, right? People trust you.
Mm-hmm.
They like the work that you do, the quality work. And we've kind of dug into this on our own personal conversations in the past. But just look at other people out there, kind of hear the thought process about, okay, this is where I am today. How am I going to be able to increase relationships and increase some extra income, build the business? So for where you are right now with your business, what are some of the things that you can do or need to be doing more of to be able to create more revenue coming in from the business?
I need a podcast. But no, I need a way to, because I have a handful of people that know me, but it's a lot of people that I grew up with, to be honest. And they're guys. And because guys don't like shopping for the girls. So they come to the female friend that they have and say, hey, this is who it's for. This is what I want. This is what I need it by. And then they pay me and I bring them a product. I need to know how to get myself out there, because social media is good, but it's if you have a platform for people to come to you, if that makes sense, because I have about 800 some odd followers on my Baskets by Personal Touch page, but that's been since 2013. That's what I've accumulated. Now, I'm going to be honest, in the last 60 days, because I have been more active on Instagram and communicating back and forth with the content providers, with business-wise, like not doing your home address for your business, or not having Gmail or Yahoo for your email, or even setting up a telephone that's not your own cell phone. Communicating with them back and forth is teaching me that even that right there is building a connection where maybe they might need my services. There's not a lot of companies out here. I don't know a service that builds your basket for you or builds gifts for you. Do you?
I don't.
I want to be like a Uber Eats of the gift world, where you just reach out to me, you let me know what it is, and I do it. Now, like I said, that realtor, she was in Atlanta, Georgia. She sold a house here in Richmond. She reached out to Pat's Floors, and Pat's Floors referred her to Baskets by Personal Touch. And I gave that realtor a basket. Everything she told me to go and get, I went and got. And then I gave her a price. And that's, I don't really have like a, how can I say, a market of customer, because I'm personal. It's where gift giving is made personal. That's my slogan. And so whatever the person brings to me, whatever the occasion is, because I think most people say, oh, it's Valentine's Day, so I'm gonna reach out. And I say to them, well, anytime you need something, you can just call me. If you want to tell somebody, take a long walk off a short pier, I can make a shirt for you and put it in a basket. But it's appealing to the customer.
So where you are right now, how many more customers would you say you need in terms of doubling, tripling, quadrupling?
Quadrupling.
Quadrupling would be enough. Okay. To get you maybe closer to where you're. Okay. Okay. So.
And then me starting the LLC is also making me think about my business, because I can have a website that would be more beneficial to me now rather than before, because before I wasn't really out there trying to meet new people. I was just at the IRS and people would come to me and say, hey, I need a basket, and I would make it. It was a hobby. And that's really what it was. It was just a hobby. When I got disability and they told me that I could work part-time for another company, or they said you can work part-time, I said, well, shoot, I've had a hobby for over 20 years. I'm gonna make that my part-time. And that's what really, with the accident and all of that, that's what really made me say, hey, you need to start focusing on starting this LLC, because I don't want to just do baskets. I want to invest in real estate as well. I used to work multiple jobs for others. Now I want to work multiple jobs for myself. Yeah. So I don't want to just start Gifts and Baskets by Personal Touch. I did medical billing and coding. I want to start a LLC for medical coding. So if there are companies out there, facilitators that can't do it for their own business, hire me. The name of the game now for me is to see what I can offer so that I can get paid and generate income. And instead of making it a side hustle, because as long as I was at the IRS, I didn't try to make it an LLC. But now that I understand what an LLC means, it means savings. That tax return will save you so much money.
Yep.
And the things that I want to get into have passive income, like that multifamily unit. If someone moves next door to me, they're paying my mortgage.
Yep.
Those are the things that I didn't realize that whole time, that 10 years, 8 months that I was at the IRS. But now I understand, and I appreciate being at the IRS and knowing what I know because I can use that.
So a couple things. So you mentioned Instagram
Yes.
and getting more active on that. In the last 60 days, are you posting every other day? How many times a week are you posting? What's the bulk?
Well, I post every day. Now, every day is not on my business page, because even I post my baskets on my personal page because I don't know who's following me on what. So I'm kind of piggybacking off of the two. But I really don't know how to get myself out there further.
Are there any resources off the top of your head in terms of just social media direction, Instagram, there like just any tips or tutorials or anybody that you're following that's giving you advice on that?
I don't know the names all the time because I just started paying attention to my Instagram in the last 90 days.
Okay. And
granted, I've had it the whole time, but I'm looking at those that are teaching how to get business grants and those how to fix your credit, like Darius Bender, I think is his name. That's who I've paid, and he does a group chat in Facebook. He has a special group, and we're in the group, and that's where I got my Gifts and Baskets, my personal touch page.
Yeah.
And he's basically educating us on how to build our credit personally so that you can build it business-wise, and not just personally, because he has people who already has businesses. So he tells you things like, okay, look at who takes from who. In other words, what lenders go to TransUnion, or who goes to Equifax, or who goes to Experian, and find out who's at Equifax and Experian and apply to them. Whoever you have the higher scores with is what I take from that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But TransUnion is my lower score.
It just depends on
who it is. So I take from that, what I translated that for me is, who do I have the better scores with, or at least pay attention to who the lenders pull from. If I can find out who they pull from before I even put my paperwork in front of them, that I can maneuver who's pulling from where. And I can put the person in front of my higher scores and not worry about the lower scores, because I've already researched them to see who they pull from.
And that's why I think this is such an important conversation, is because, you're limited on what you can do from terms of employment, right? And you've got past experience, you've got hobbies that have helped you build more skills in a certain field. And there are so many people out there that have got a job that they do, maybe they've done it for a long period of time, and aren't aware that those skills translate into the private market, where you can generate extra income, whether it be consulting or marketing or helping people find the right tool or resource or course to help them fix their own problem or goal.
I went through the Workforce Center. That's through Richmond, Virginia. I mean, they pay for everything. And they pay for your classes. They pay for you to take your certification test. Even if you fail one time, they give you another shot at doing it again. It's paid for. Those are the things that everyone needs to start looking at. See what your community offers to you. Because I took the mindset of, no, I don't have a degree. But at the same time, people with degrees get certifications. So I said, I'll start with the certifications. And then if a job snags me up with the certification, I'll let them send me to school. Well, now I'm just trying to just start the business because I have some income without having to go to work now because I'm disabled. But at the same time, I don't want to cap myself off. Now, a realtor did say that's, what is the word he used? Verifiable income.
Yep. Yep.
So at least I have that, but I need more so that I can get a house.
So let's say you quadruple the income from, baskets and personal touch.
Mhm.
Complete guess. Does that put you over the threshold or not over the threshold? Or do
Oh
you not?
yeah, that will put me over the threshold. But that's the point.
that will get-
I want to be able to generate for myself. I don't.
Okay.
I get it. I'm disabled. I appreciate that I worked so many amount of hours, and they said, "Hey, you're at a time where you can't, so this is what you're qualified for." I appreciate it greatly, but I would still like to pass that amount.
So when you get to the point where you quadruple your sales or customers, right?
Yes.
It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Because on this channel we talk about counting up to a deadline, not counting down to a deadline. It's just, I'm not gonna put a goal out there and I'm not gonna stop till I get there. Like that's the mentality here.
That's how I've always been. So I guess I'm just learning who I am.
And everyone has their own journey, right? And it doesn't matter where you are. There's always a point in time where like for some people things click at different points and different reasons and different pieces. But from you mentioned real estate and FHA a couple times. So I'm a real estate investor myself.
Yes.
I believe in real estate and I have my own thoughts on it. But from your perspective and your kind of journey, why is it important to you and kind of tie in FHA and Julian Gordon? What does it all mean to you?
Everyone needs somewhere to live.
Okay.
Everyone needs somewhere to live. And to be honest, yeah, you can have an apartment, but you have to understand that you're taking care of somebody else's family, or you can be renting a home, but you're not helping yourself. I was trying to find ways to help myself and did not know that real estate was the key. And now, granted, I have a grandmother. She's 98. No, I'm sorry, not 90. She's 84. I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. She just turned 84 in November. And her neighborhood is going through gentrification. And I never knew what it was. I remember seeing Boys in the Hood. I remember that part in the movie where they talked about the gentrification. But now to see it, because there were homes in the neighborhood where nobody lived in. She had that house before I was born. I'm 41. She's still in the house. And there's houses in the neighborhood now that they have families in them. They've been renovated and people live in them. And I'm like, those houses were empty for over 30 years. Like, how did somebody know to get that information? And I'm gonna be honest, it's about applying yourself. Before I left the IRS, I signed up to have the tax delinquencies sent to my email. So even now, if people don't pay their taxes in Virginia, I get something sent to me. And it lists their address and how much they owe. But I had a friend do this procedure. This is the only way, and it's about networking and knowing people. She married into a family. That family at one time had about 15 homes here in Richmond. At the time when she married, I think they had about 5 left, but they owed taxes. So when people started paying their taxes, they started taking their property. How it works is if you're delinquent on your tax,
Wow.
You get a year to get together if somebody else comes and pays your taxes. Now, one way to make money that way is you can walk around and pay everybody taxes. And then you can say, hey, you can either pay your tax or I get your property, because that's how it goes. Even if it's $10,000, that home could be worth $250,000.
Wow.
But if you don't pay the taxes on it, and someone goes and pays your tax, guess what? Now that's their property if you don't pay it in 12 months. And if you do pay it in 12 months, you have to pay that person interest. So even that is making money. So I was trying to find how to make money. Do you hear me? And my friend, what she did was, when she found out that her husband's family was losing the home for taxes, her and her husband went down to the state and started making a payment plan. You don't even have to pay it in full. You can make a payment plan on the tax. They made a payment plan, but what was beautiful about her situation, it was her husband's family. So you know what they did? They signed the deed over to her. So not only did she get the house for the taxes because they weren't going to pay it and it was going to be theirs anyway, but now she had the deed outright. So it became hers immediately. Now she recently sold that home, but I think they paid $15,000 for it and they sold it for $300,000. That's money. That's some money I'd like to be in. And so now, and that was one of the businesses that I wanted because I was getting those taxes sent to me. I thought about taking some of that money that I had accumulated and saved over time and start paying taxes. And either I'm going to end up with a property or I'm going to end up with some money with some interest on it. There's a lot of different ways to make money.
What stops you from doing that specifically?
I'm still not stopped. I still have it coming to me. I'm still trying to get my ducks in a row.
Figure out the right way to
Exactly, the right way to do it. Exactly. Because you can go and pay the tax. But like I said, you still aren't obligated. You're not eligible for that property until 12 months have passed and that person hasn't paid their tax.
How do you, are you able to figure out where they are in that time frame?
Once you take your money to the state and pay them, they're going to let you know everything because it's a matter of either giving the title to them or to you. They're going to give it to who's paying the taxes. And I think a lot of people, when they get into real estate, they don't realize that you can lose your house for not paying your taxes. You can owe $1,000 and lose your home. And it's a lot of people out here that are going around looking at these. That's probably how the people in my neighborhood got the properties that they got. People die, they leave the property to the family members. The family members say, oh, I got this property, but I got my own house that I'm comfortable in, so I'm not worried about that property. Mm-hmm. And then somebody goes and pays their state taxes. And then they pay no attention to it, and a year passes, and now the title is in that person's hands. So now that person has your property and all your equity. Can you imagine? So if I was in the right pocket frame and had the right money now, I would take those lists that I get, because I still get them. I've been getting them since 2016. I still get them. I would go and start putting my money, because at least I would get interest. So I asked them to send me the delinquencies, and that's how I've been getting them since 2016.
From the city website, or
Yeah,
the city or state?
It's a state.
State. Okay.
It's a state.
So, real estate I think is powerful in so many ways. And, some of the statistics that are out there that, the outside of the top 10% of wealth earners, the lower 90%, I guess you'd say, that the wealth that's generated, about 60% has come from real estate, which is crazy.
Exactly, because
it's crazy.
That equity. Okay, my grandma, like I said, lives in a neighborhood. We have known the family that owned the home next door forever. The grandfather passed. He had about 10 or 15 properties here in Richmond. When he passed, the family started selling off the properties. Well, one of the properties was next door to my grandmother's house. It was a 6-bedroom home, 2-story. He bought it for $100,000. He renovated it. He told me he wanted $307,000 for that home. He sold that home for $349,850. Wow. Do you know how that raises the value of everyone else's property in the neighborhood? I didn't realize that, but when I saw, and then it also taught me that you want to get non-listed properties. Yeah. That's not the what is
off market.
Off market. I didn't know what off market was, but now I do. Mm-hmm. Off market is when it's not on the market. Nobody's there's not a for sale sign in the yard. And those are the properties that you want to purchase. That's why I bring up my grandmother, because I plan to purchase her home from her. I'm going to get my multifamily unit first, and she's not ready to move out. So I was like, well, take your time, because I still got to get my multifamily unit. But my goal is, I know so many people in Richmond that are renting. I have 2 sisters that are renting right now. I'm renting right now. And the goal is to first start with my family. When I get my multifamily, I've already asked both sisters, which one do you want it? Because that's the whole point of me getting it. And once I'm in with that additional income, because I said I might have to look, if God is good, I'm going to leave disability altogether. That's the goal. But if I can't, at least I can be comfortable while I'm getting it. But at the same time, I know so many people that are renting here in Richmond. And I feel like if I had properties, I could get them.
What do you think is holding people back from being able to take the next steps to homeownership?
I'm gonna be honest. In the Black community, as kids, younger kids, we were taught not to bother with credit. I was. If you had the money, pay for it. And that's what I did all those years. It wasn't until about 38, 39, I'm 41 now, that I started really paying attention to credit. And that's when I started saying, my grandmother wasn't right. Because even if you have the funds, you still want to get credit because now you can just pay that credit off.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are getting money from someone and paying it off, and you keep paying it off, and that's all they see, that you just keep paying, they will lend to you more than usually what you need. Yeah. So it's about building relationships, even when you're trying to get into the investment world or the banking world. It's about showing, because I thought it was just your credit score, but no, it's the history of your credit. Yeah. Because if you have a high score, but before that you had a whole bunch of late payments and things of that nature, yeah, it's not going to help you. Yeah. It helps people see how you spend the funds and how you pay people back. And that's what I didn't understand about credit, or OPM, as I like to call it now, other people's money.
So credit is one thing. There's some things I want to throw in on that in a second. Any other thoughts on that?
Well, it's credit again, but just being an authorized user. I have a son. He is 18, but his credit score is higher than mine. He's a 741. And he started with that. It probably was higher, but I'm still paying stuff, so I might have pulled it from the 800. But knowing what an authorized user is, because my grandmother, she opened up an account and took me to a car dealership and gave me money to get a car. And she said, so now you're building your credit. And yeah, I was making my payments on time, but that's also putting me in debt. Because even on the credit, it shows your debt to income ratio. So even though I might have income, it's showing that I have an obligation to pay something somewhere else. Whereas if you make someone an authorized user, your kids in general, what I'm speaking of, you give your children a chance to start off where really they don't have to ask you for anything. Right. I don't mean to sound selfish, but I don't know if I'm going to live long enough to see my son make it to his 40s or his 50s or his 60s, or for that matter, because I was just in a car accident in 20. I'm not promised tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So now I'm trying to educate both of my children, because both of them are authorized users on my account. And even when me and my daughter go online and look for stuff to purchase, you know what I tell her? Go grab your credit card. And I show her how to use it. And we look up the virtual card. I tell her, use your virtual card so that you don't jeopardize your identity and your information. And those are the things that I'm teaching my kids now, because it wasn't taught to me when I was younger. I was taught not to do credit. Don't use your credit.
Well, I think that's one of the things that's really challenging about this stuff. Credit, income, money, wealth building, is that certain things that are reality don't always logically make sense. And I'm just taking the credit, for example. It's like, well, the more money I owe, I mean, I don't want that debt.
The less somebody's willing to give you, but that's where your history comes in.
Right. But
because
I don't want to owe anybody any money. So I don't want to put myself in that position. I don't want to put myself in a position to be able to have to pay somebody.
And that's what my grandmother was teaching me young. But at the same time, like I said, I didn't start using my credit. Now, I did have credit cards before, but I didn't use them. And they closed. But that was over 15 years ago, so it's not even visible on my credit report now. But now I have 100% payment history on my credit. for my payments. And I don't have any derogatory marks. I'm just, all you see now is my car notes. And now I've listed my rent. So they see when I pay my rent. And I think Experian will even allow you to list your bills so that you could build that FICO score.
That's right.
Because it's the different scores that determine who's going to give you what and how much you're going to get. And that's what I'm learning.
Yeah. And it's kind of add to that too. It's like the psychology behind what someone's activities and behaviors are. It's like, if I have a credit card, say it's $1,000, well, if I have it and if it's in my pocket, I'm going to use it. I'm going to spend it.
Exactly.
And that's why some people may not want to use it at all, versus somebody who, hey, I'm only going to use 30% of it and pay off every month.
See, Credit Karma. Credit Karma is awesome. I just got that in the last 2 years. It teaches you things. Some things I already knew, but I didn't understand how to pay on your credit card. My understanding, because my grandmother taught me, if it's not yours, don't get it. So I would always pay the bill in full, which is good. That's awesome, because people will give you more money if every time they see that you put someone on the credit, you pay it off. Yeah, they trust you a little better if your history matches up with that. However, the best way to do with the credit card is to pay the statement every time, but don't put so much on there that you can't pay the statement every time. Right. Anything that you would have paid cash for, put it on the credit card and then take that cash and put it on that credit card.
100%. So like if you have $1,000 limit,
exactly,
spend $100 on gas and then just pay it off.
Oh, because you're teaching the bank that, hey, we can give this person money. You're showing them who you are money-wise. And that's what I didn't understand about credit before. And that's what I understand now. And that's what I'm teaching my children now. And that's because, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be here today or tomorrow.
So you mentioned that your son, maybe this was in a previous conversation, but your son was doing some entrepreneurial things in his own right, or learning some things on the way with some paintings, I think.
He's doing photography.
Oh, sorry, photography.
Yes, he is going to these car shows. And the guys love their cars, and he's networking and he's meeting people, and they're asking him to take pictures. Now, granted, he went to Virginia Randolph, and I think we just made the news on Richmond News because somebody brought a gun there the other day, but Virginia Randolph is an alternative school. Now, let me explain. My son told me when he was in the 8th grade that he wanted to graduate high school in 3 years, not 4. He signed up to several programs from the schools and got in, but he had to go to school for 4 years. Virginia Randolph usually takes in the kids that get suspended or are truant that don't come to school, but they have one of the best academics in Virginia. So it's kind of confusing, but I did my research and I talked to his counselor at school, in middle school. And he said, look, he wants to come out in 3 years. My son was a straight A student. I didn't mention that. He's smart, book smart. I'm still trying to gauge him on the other smarts, but he came to me, he said, look, I want to go to a tech, but I still want to come out in 3 years. So I want to go to Virginia Randolph. He went to Virginia Randolph. He got those 3 years under his belt and he graduated with a certificate in graphic communications. And that's what he's piggybacking off right now when he's doing his photography. He's going to the shows. He's taking pictures. He's actually recording videos of people at the shows. I think he's even recording music videos right now, but people are pulling him in every direction for the talents that he has. And he's seen me do these baskets for so long. So now he wants to have his own LLC. And I said, that is awesome, because now is the time to hone your craft. Now is the time for you to make your mistakes while you're young. You can get advice from others, but sometimes it's just that, it's advice. You just need to hear it. Don't mean you need to do it. But with him stepping out here right now, because and the funny part is, some of the guys he's working with and that are mentoring him, they went to high school with me. Mm-hmm. They graduated 2 and 3 years before I did. And one of the guys I ran into with my husband, because him and my husband grew up in the same neighborhood. We saw him downtown and we're just chit-chatting. And he was saying something about, doing photography and having to do some shoots. And I was telling him that one of my friends hired my son to be the photographer at her birthday party. And he was like, well, yeah, I'm looking for youth here in Richmond to, kind of cultivate and teach things to. And lo and behold, I took his number, told him that I would give my son the information. Well, my sister had a friend, went to the same school, and she ended up mentioning my son's name to her friend. Well, lo and behold, one day I get a text from the guy that I bumped into. That's his partner.
Wow.
So everything happens for a reason. And I think that's why I haven't turned my head at it like, no, don't do this, son. But he's learning from people in the community. And he's learning at a young age what to and what not to do. And he did get 2 credit cards because, like I said, I made him an authorized user when he was 16. And so because I've been doing good with my credit and keeping my ducks in a row, it allowed him to be able to go out. Because he kept asking me, Mom, how can I get a credit card? I was like, well, the only one I think you can get is a secured one where you give your own money and build your rapport with the bank and then come back and ask. But because I made him an authorized user, it built his credit. Now his is high enough. He has 2 credit cards now.
And how old is he?
He's 18.
18.
He has 2 credit cards that he's using to fund his photography business.
Is he earning income right now from that?
I would say no, only because you only get income after you've canceled out all of your expenses.
Okay, but he's receiving
Yes.
revenue from some of these.
Yes, he is.
contractors,
Yes,
companies.
because he's partnering with the 2 gentlemen that I mentioned. My sister sent him to somebody and I sent him to somebody. So they're teaching him and they're hiring him to help him at their jobs.
So, you mentioned before kind of, putting the work in,
Mhm.
planting the seed, so to speak. And then at a very early age, that entrepreneurial spirit. And that's the thing that I think one of the reasons why I think this platform is so important for me personally is the entrepreneur, the small business owner, the person that's in the streets making things happen.
Yes.
That's the lifeblood of this country.
Yes, it is.
And do you think that he would be where he is right now if your injury wouldn't have happened?
I'm going to say yes, because I would still be on this same road, even if my injuries hadn't happened. In a sense, it was kind of a blessing because now I have income, enough income to take care of what I need to take care of. And now I can still sit in front of a TV or my phone or computer and go on social media and see who I can learn from, because they're even offering mentorships and things of that nature. But now I get to sit. Now I don't have to worry about a 9 to 5 or I got to be here. I got to go do this. That is my blessing. I know what time is now. And time really is money. And time is more than money. It's more valuable than money. So now the game plan is I'm not trying to be rich. I just want to be able to afford what I need to afford to take care of my family and live comfortably. And I'm realizing that having an LLC or multiple LLCs is the best way to do that.
So again, we're in Dory Park.
Yes.
In Richmond, Virginia.
Yes.
Not too far from the airport. And you and I have known each other for a while now. And if there's one piece of advice that you want to give to somebody else that's out there that may be struggling, maybe going through some struggles or hurdles or failures, or wants to be able to build something bigger than themselves to help other people, what advice would you give?
Don't give up. If you have confidence in yourself, don't look at other people, because sometimes other people's looks will discourage you. You have to have that self-confidence though, because self is what's going to get you to implement the actions that you learn. I need a home. And granted, I have the option to just purchase my grandmother's home. I'm still trying to figure out that because I'm a couponer. Don't stop what you're doing. Have a plan. Know that everything takes time. As you're going along your walk, on your plan, on your journey, meet people, network, because sometimes you bump into people that might know something that you don't, or might know that little piece of information. You already knew the majority of it, but you just didn't know the last part of it. Pay attention to your surroundings and what other people are doing. Because like I said, I wouldn't have known about the tax delinquent homes and how you can get a property if my friend hadn't married into a family.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to life as it happens, because that's how you're going to learn. And if you have an entrepreneurial spirit like I have, and I grew up around a bunch of people that had businesses, so it kind of made sense to me. But even if you don't have that, if you feel like you have something that you want to build for yourself and your family, take a chance. Take many chances until you get where you need to be.
Totally. Love it. Love it. We're running out of time. So you got some goals for 2023, I know.
Yes, I do. I have to start my LLC.
Right?
No more scheduled C's. I have to start my LLC. I have to get my EIN. I have to do my email address. I need to get my website going. Things that will make my life easier for me on this side, so that I can grow my business and I can step out of it and maybe employ people. Don't know if it's going to get there, but that would be awesome.
So what that means is that for people out there that may be in a similar situation, right? Thinking about wanting to do something, but just haven't pulled the trigger yet. Hopefully you're hearing this and thinking, well, I can do that too. And that's kind of the purpose of this platform. And so that means that we're going to have to catch back up with you in a number of months or whenever it takes. And some of these.
I just told you, if you're trying to do something, don't give up. So yeah, I'm not giving up.
Cool. Carrie, it's been a pleasure spending time with you. Just so happy we
Thank
can
you.
connect in person this time.
Yes, it was a
And-
pleasure. Finally, face to face.
Number of phone calls and
Yes,
webinars.
but that's called networking.
That's right.
That's
right.
called networking, and you got to do it.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Carrie, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Have a good
Alrighty.
day.
Bye.